Hi, everyone. Shayna J here, founder of One Heart Mission and now Urban Wisdom, the wisdom of the ages through how we are living right here on earth in this very moment. And I am privileged and delighted to have a very dear friend join me today, Misa Hopkins, who is I don't a credible, a very credible shaman, medicine woman, um, Vision Quest leader. When you want some life advice, you want to go to Misa. Misa, she's got it going on. I'm telling you, this woman is amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you. I'm so thrilled to get to chat with you and share our chat with whoever's here to be part of the sacred space because
Yeah,
we have had some awesome, sparkling moments
yes,
over
we
the years.
have. We're friends from a long time ago, and we've done some very sparkly things in the past. And I'm feeling this time that we're living in is a pretty sparkly time too, if we choose to focus that way. And I'd love to hear what your thoughts are around some of the challenges that people face in living in the moment, being in the moment, mastering the moment, if they even choose to do that, because there are some challenges. What do you think, Misa?
Yeah, I'm really privileged. I get to work with people who, especially women, who are just really choosing to be more and more present to themselves and to their experience of consciousness.
Right.
And frequently, the women that I'm privileged to hold space for have come through some significant traumas. Really, sexual abuse when they were kids, the really tough stuff that
Yeah.
we can go through. That dismissal. Deborah Poneman says it beautifully. If you have felt dismissed, you have felt abused. Dismissal
Wow.
and abuse. I think she nails it. And I think any moment in our life when we feel as though somehow we've been dismissed, it's challenging
Yeah.
to move through. And yet that is the energy. That's the place, right? That's where your power, in the way that I was taught, that's where your power lives.
Yeah.
That's where your life purpose lives. That's where your sacred journey really begins. So a lot of being present to the moment with the challenges of the self and the experiences we had when we were young and in previous lives, and then then looking at how we're lensing life now, right, with everything going on with COVID, with the discrimination that we're becoming so aware of in so
Yeah.
many forms. How
Mhm.
do we lens that from that place that has felt dismissed and abused? And how do we lens that from a place in which we know ourselves to be divine?
Yeah.
They're, they're very different experiences.
It's like
So
a gap. Oh, sorry, I'm showing I have my rock in my hand.
that's
I
great.
always carry my rock. It's like a gap that, you just want to inch toward the two merging if it's at all possible, and you help people do that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because we feel overwhelmed by the task. And what I notice is a lot of bypassing that we tend to do. We think that if I just have this moment of enlightenment, then everything's good. That's what I need to do. I need to
Like
become,
everything will change then. Yeah.
yeah, and it does change it, but you're really going to look at that stuff now.
Right? May not be the way you want it to change.
No,
Yeah.
no, because those parts of us that have felt the least loved are still going to demand that we pay attention and love.
Absolutely.
And so we get to go. We can say yes, we can say no.
Yeah.
I'm just very fortunate to work with a lot of people who are saying, yes, I understand those parts of me want to be loved and
Yeah.
that love exists. That love exists.
Wow. I just really I so honor what you're saying, because it is one of the biggest challenges that I found also in my own growth was getting consciously aware of those moments where the little one just wants something out of the hurt and pain that she's lived through. And then when I'm conscious enough to see it and say, okay, sweetie, I'm going to give that to you right now. And you can have even more and as much as you want. After doing that for a while, I all of a sudden, just spontaneously, when I went to sleep, I would say, I love you, Shayna.
Mm.
And it just like came out of my heart. I was like, oh my God, I've really loved on you so good. It kind of was a full circle moment, and it happens regularly now. And it comes from that true soul self, that place that is real. And that to me is the challenge of finding that place where you're in the division and then you're the one that brings it back into wholeness. So do you have any ways that you show people how to do that you can share?
Yeah, I do. In fact, Shana, I've been really blessed. I've been given a practice that women did for thousands of years, thousands and thousands.
Mm.
And whoa, I've never said that before, thousands and thousands. I've
You
always,
want to hear that?
oh, something came through because I've always said 1,000 to 2,000 years old, but no, the practice is much older, much, much, much older. So that's yay. Thank you. That was a
You're
great
welcome.
discovery today. um, the practice is called holding, and it really is an invitation to return to the womb. So
Mm.
when I received these practices and just so there's an understanding of the story with it, I was given this um, mother bowl, we call it, or medicine bowl. She's in the shape of a womb, Shana, and she's huge. She's solid granite and she's huge, carved.
I remember that.
You've seen, oh,
I
that's right.
have
You've
seen
seen
that.
her.
Yes. What a
Oh my
beautiful thing.
gosh. And when she came to me, she came with visions from ancestors on the other side about the teachings that we created because I was one of those women and came back in this lifetime. Excuse me, it's allergy season. My nose is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so with it came this consciousness that as women, for lifetime after lifetime, we had committed to shedding the limited body to become the limitless self. It really was a feminine doorway into what we might call enlightenment, though I use that word very, very
Very
carefully.
lightly. Yeah.
We have associations with what enlightenment is that don't always fit in yin awakenings.
Exactly.
But
Oh, I like
but
that. Yin awakening.
yin
I
awakenings
like
are a
that.
little different. So
Totally.
just as valid. So
Yeah.
there was this intention to hold all that was. In other words, like the womb of all creation, that primordial womb that we've all come from, and all, not all, but many, many, many of the great scriptures of various spiritual traditions talk about this beginning, this darkness, this watery awareness, this fluid state that, in the way it was taught to me, and that I experienced personally, is that womb of creation that holds all potential and all possibility. So, in those moments that it's like, I don't know if I can feel that much love for myself. And I do get women coming in like, I'm not sure I even know what love is.
Yes.
How am I going to feel that for me or my inner child or my past selves? And there is a love that is so vast, it is already holding you
Yeah.
in the suchness of who you are.
Mm.
And simply the willingness to become aware of that consciousness that it exists is enough for the doorway to open and to experience it. And it's in that feeling accepted as you are, the suchness of who you are,
Mhm.
and opening to that, that you begin deep, deep levels of exactly what you've described, Shana, that deep self-love for you, for life, for all of us, for what we are
Mm.
creating from lifetime to lifetime, that it is a tremendous and unpredictable experience.
So it's a ceremony with the bowl.
It's done in ceremony with the bowl. I also teach the women how to hold in meditation,
Uh-huh.
to be still with the self in her yin essence and to be present to her emotions. Because what I discovered was too often as I entered into spiritual practice, I was trying to bypass my emotions, right? Just
Oh,
like,
right.
which doesn't work.
It doesn't work. You got
It
to
doesn't,
include all of who you are because your emotions are the key to the pain.
yeah.
Yeah,
And your doorway in, because that's the part of you that's longing to remember that you are love.
exactly.
So it's very much rooted in emotions, emotions that come from our pain, but also emotions that come from our desire.
Hmm.
So our hopes and our dreams that are the impulses of the divine. I'm not talking about I want a new refrigerator, though that's cool too. You know? I do actually want a
I
new
do actually.
refrigerator.
Did you
And
hear
that's
that?
cool. That's cool. It's probably not the highest order of my work here, but it would really help.
But but that's it. That's it. You said it perfectly in that giggle. We are all of that. All of our desires and longings still, they don't have priority, but they do. And sometimes a refrigerator is as important as the pain that I carry with me that I don't want to carry into my next relationship or in this body anymore. It because we're here. We're
Yes,
here on earth. And so we're here for that balance.
very much so. Very much so. And I think that women have, in my experience, and men too, for sure, but I work so much with women, we have this innate, beautiful connection with the earth,
Yeah,
a powerful connection with the earth, and that is physical manifestation. And we need to see that. You know, you're at peace when you're in a home that nurtures you.
exactly.
That's a powerful gift you give of self-love to you.
Exactly. And that you actually have the power to create that home as a sanctuary for your sacred self.
Yes. Yes, and it's not frivolous and it's not, you're not in some attachment because you love beauty. I think we get really confused about that,
Oh my
that,
gosh. Yeah.
don't we? It's like, oh, but
Yeah.
I shouldn't want all this stuff, or it
Like
should
beauty
have.
is superficial or something, but why is that doesn't make any sense at all. Because
Oh
look outside your door. All of nature is beautiful.
my
And
gosh.
some, people are beautiful. I mean, that it's such a false misconception.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a, you know, what do you call that when you say redundant?
It,
False misconception.
yeah, the sense of it's wrong to want for the things that you create that are
Yeah.
beautiful. And
Yeah,
yet, where does our art come from? Where does our architecture come from? It is our desire to create as we have been created.
exactly. And that beauty lives within us anyway. When you tap into it,
Yeah.
like a well is so deep.
Yeah. And
And
then you're in your joy and excitement of life. And that's part of that willingness to be present, right? To those more difficult emotions, to bring love to them, is that as we have found, as they unwind and unravel, and I'm sure you have too, in your work, there's this finally they let go to sleep. I think of it as they rest.
they
They're
do, they
done.
rest. I call it, they go into the background.
Mhm.
So they're not in the foreground niggling at my consciousness for attention. They recede and they quiet and they, yeah, I totally agree with that. They do.
Yeah.
They're there. They're always there and they'll get reactivated whenever they do for whatever reason.
Mhm.
But the majority of time is called peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had women say, "Well, Misa, if I give all this love to these really difficult emotions I'm having, am I aren't I making them stronger?"
Oh yeah, that's another fear.
Yeah, it's a fear and a misconception, and it's like, well, think about it this way, honey. If when you were a little mite and you were climbing the tree and you fell down and you scraped up your leg and you went in the house, what's the first thing you wanted? First thing, you want a big hug.
Mommy. Yeah.
Well, mommy, and you want some
Right.
love, and you
Right.
want some love, and after you've had the love, then we can go get the Band-Aid on or whatever medicine mama's gonna do, we can do that, and then I can hear about how I did it differently, could
Yeah.
do it differently. Then that's the order. You do
Yeah.
it in any other order, and it just prolongs the suffering. So,
Exactly.
first thing your little spirit wants is love,
Yeah.
and as soon as that love is there, it's the okay, okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and their lips quiver, but they're doing better, and okay, I can heal now, and
Yeah.
you heal.
Yeah.
And then what are you doing as a child? You're
Yeah.
back up on the tree again.
Yes, exactly. And you're going to reach even higher heights.
Right, and I'm gonna have a good time doing it because I know how to hold on to those branches now because mom or dad showed me how. So it's the same thing as adults. Of course, we
Yeah.
need that love. That's what allows it to rest and heal. And then you've got all this vigor and energy and all that bliss and joy you want
Yeah.
right on the other side of it.
It is.
It's right there.
It's right there. So let's talk about the opposite side then. What do you see are some of, and if you could share a story would be really wonderful because I know you work in storytelling and so do I. What are some of the values and even some of the blessings that come was shockingly through the division of being separated from divine and from not seeing, being in the challenge so much, but then
Yeah.
when do people actually in your experience receive that it was a blessing that they had a traumatic event?
Boy, I hear that a lot. And you have to be far enough along. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I've worked with a lot of women who have been sexually abused, so or had some similar traumatic event when they, as I said, when they were young. So it's really difficult to look at something like sexual abuse and say, "I'm really glad I had that experience." That's
Yeah,
not.
no, that's not, I don't call that a, yeah.
But there is a place in a woman's journey of healing as she begins to recognize that it happened, that her little being, however old she was, which is most of us, by the way, have been sexually abused before the age of 4.
Yeah.
And that kind of sets up later abuses that we experience in our life, and me included. So, um, when you bring that healing to the child self who felt dismissed, rejected, betrayed in that moment, and you recover that sense of who you really are, who you were prior to the abuse, because it also stops emotional growth at
Right.
that point. So you now can really mature and open to your potential
Yeah.
as an individual. There is a moment in that healing as you are awakening where you realize that the interactions that you played out with someone else allowed for a level of consciousness in you. It moved you into your journey of consciousness.
Uh-huh.
And I do hear women say, I'm able to be grateful for the totality of my life
Wow.
as an experience. And that includes the moments of trauma because of what they forced me to open up to, which is divine love. They will push you, that trauma will push you to a place that you open to to that complete awareness of how loved you are.
Wow.
So there is that moment. And what does happen is exactly what you described, Shayna. The women start talking about the sexual abuse is almost like a memory from a past life. It no longer defines you. You're
Yes.
no longer railing against life and criticizing life and frustrated with life and not trusting life and all of the things and betraying yourself and sabotaging yourself. Those things just start becoming a part of like, wow, yeah, I did do all those things and I did have all those feelings and I experienced all that pain. Yeah, I did. but it's a distant memory,
Wow.
not how you
Ye
live in the moment.
yes. Oh my gosh, you just described it so beautifully. Thank you so much. Do they ever say to you that they realized if it wasn't for that, they wouldn't have something else?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
they?
That is part of the awareness, that's
Okay,
right.
great.
And I can talk about my story in that regard. I mean, it
Okay.
was really because of the sexual abuse I experienced when I was a little girl that I don't know if I've ever shared this part of the story with you, but as a young woman, when I was talking about having a baby with my husband at the time, I started having these really weird, weird symptoms, tremendous pain in my body. And 7 years later, it was finally diagnosed. I was producing as much testosterone as a teenage boy.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy, crazy, crazy
That
amount
is
of hormones.
crazy.
Took 7 years to get my hormones back into balance, and then, there were other illnesses that I got to work through, like MS, like cancer. I mean, it's been quite an interesting journey, and I'm quite convinced it's because of how sensitive I came in, how much I absorbed in, and then needed to learn how to not absorb, and that's been a lifelong
So
journey.
you become a great teacher.
Well, but but that is what happened when I had my some of my most significant spiritual awakenings. They were in yin or yang energy, quite specifically yin or yang. Either I'm in Egypt, I was immersed in the womb of creation for 24 hours. And immersed is the wrong word. You'll know what I'm talking about. I was the womb of creation for 24 hours. That's a long time to be in yin consciousness, or I would be absolute bliss and light, just total bliss and light. And so it was this yin yang awareness, have my body having tried to transform into being man. I can tell you that things taste different. The way you think is different. The way I move through life is different than when I went very, very deeply into my yin energy. Completely different experience of divine consciousness
Totally different.
as consciousness and as a human being learning what it means to embody that consciousness. So my work has consistently been about what is the relationship and the nature of these energies. And when I'm holding space for another, that of course, because that was my biggest struggle, right? Is what does it at the time I was abused, what I had formed in my little tiny brain was it's not safe to be a woman,
Yes.
the better to be a man, right? So when it was time to have babies, it's like, I'm
And
not gonna have a baby, babies get abused, right? So little ones get
right.
abused, so my body's working really hard to make sure that can never happen.
And so your body creates an overproduction of testosterone.
Yep,
God
yep,
bless you. That's
yep.
how powerful we are.
It's how powerful we are, and it was in many ways, it was a brilliant solution. The we're really brilliant at protecting ourselves from
We
ourselves.
are. We are so brilliant at protecting ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yes, then that becomes, and that's what I share with my women, your healing journey, dear hearts, is not about getting over something so that now you can do your work. Your healing journey is the work, and your greatest challenges are what you will hold for others. That is this, and that's what my elder taught me.
That's beautiful.
That's why it's your power.
Yeah,
It's the place where you are going to be able to truly hold space for another, and they will know that you can because you've become that for yourself. You know that of yourself, and therefore you are able to be that consciousness for them as things unwind and unravel and reform themselves, so they too, every individual is remembering how divine they truly are in their way, in their experience of that.
exactly. That sacred space that you hold for people to come to that realization or to free up that space so that it naturally comes forward for them to see their own conscious awareness as divine I mean, what a blessing that is, sweetie. Thank you so much for doing your work.
My honor. Truly, truly my
Like,
honor.
I mean, it's true what you said. Your work becomes the work you do with others. What a blessing that is. And I would say that's true for me as well. You know, when I fell off the cliff, I experienced total self-healing, but I didn't do it. God showed it to me. Divine, the divine of me showed me this power that we all have. And so, you know, that's where I start off when I work with people
Mhm,
is that core, what is in the way of you believing that you can heal yourself?
mhm,
And which always evolves to loving yourself. And through the work, it becomes a yin awakening. I love that phrase. Oh
It is
my God.
good. I've got to write it down so I remember it.
Yes, beautiful. I might use that in the description of this talk.
Yeah, please do. Please do. That's
I love
awesome.
when we spontaneously coin phrases. It's great. Yeah.
It is fun. I am writing it down so I don't forget. I know me. Oh, that was a stroke of genius from the divine. What
Uh,
was that?
right. I mean, sometimes they come through with just these beautiful phrases. So, wow.
And
Sweet.
one of the things,
Go ahead.
may I, because you were talking about
Absolutely.
your fall, and I want you to know, you offered a gift to so many of us in that experience that you went through in that spontaneous healing, and you were and have always been one of the stories in my heart that I share with women about
Oh,
don't limit what you think is possible. Here's a
oh,
story about my friend Shayna. And one of the things I remember that you sharing then when I interviewed you years ago was that state of bliss that you were in. And it's something I remember as my body forgets and I'm healing something, and I'm remembering. And with my clients, is that that state of bliss, that peace, that trust that I could feel in me or my version of experiencing your story, your sharing, that feeling is something that is just as vital in our healing experience, if not the most vital part of it. We often lock into the pain that we're feeling.
yeah,
We empathize with the pain,
sure. And we
which
try to fix the pain.
try to fix the pain,
Yeah,
exactly, which won't work.
yeah, it doesn't work.
But that love and that awareness of what the body is experiencing or the emotions, if that's where you are, and that absolute sense of there is a love and a bliss that is beyond this tiny little experience in the cosmos of pain.
Yeah,
There's something so much more vast, and to keep our hearts and our minds focused on that. And one of the first questions I ask is, how are you going to feel
yeah,
when everything is working as it needs and you want it to work? How are you going to
yeah,
feel?
yeah. And that's a beautiful question because it brings an awareness to the conscious mind that we're in an evolution where if the conscious mind is consistently trying to fix itself, it doesn't access the unconscious, which is running the show. You know, that phrase, if you're not controlling your conscious mind, then your unconscious is controlling all of you. So what we need to do is exactly what you're saying, is take whatever, see, I say pain is an acronym for pay attention inside now. And
Ooh.
the inside, you know, the moment you have the pain is the moment that you're alive and you're willing to heal. So, like, I walk around, you know, I have kind of night vision, so I don't turn on lights when at night when you know, and I stub my toe or I hit my elbow on a door jamb or something. And in my first response is always, "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry." And I'm rubbing I love you. Thank you for being my elbow. Oh my God, you are the best elbow in the world. What would I do without you? I love you so much. 2 minutes. It's healed, no bruising. It's all gone. No matter how much it hurt, it's gone. Never think about it again. Because the body wants the attention in the moment that it's calling for it.
Yes.
And so everything that you and I have been talking about is all about bringing that what's in the unconscious conscious, so we can have some of our own divine power over it, because our conscious mind will show the way if you allow for it, the unconscious, to come up and say what it really needs. But so many of us keep pushing it down, pushing it down, pushing it down. I'll deal with that later. I don't have time for that now. I'll do that later. Oh no, I don't want to, I don't even want to go there. No, sorry. You want to have a yin awakening? Go there right now and
That's it.
master the moment.
Yeah.
Master it. You are the master dividing your own ship. Man, this is the time. And right now, with all we've been through this last year with our COVID and the lockdowns, I just prayed every single day that people would receive that divine connection so that they could reset their values as to what's really important to them, and then take that forward and not forget about it when the COVID is over. Because
Oh,
it
that's
will be over,
prayer.
and we need to bring those values so that we as a family can come together and continually give to each other. For those of us who are single, like me, I don't have someone around me, so I have to mother myself. But sometimes I go, Divine, would you give me a hug? Within seconds, I'll feel my hug.
Oh, yeah.
That, we have that power. We're not ever alone. All one. We're never alone. All one. We're not alone.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And
So,
I love that prayer. I really love that prayer because there always are silver linings. We know that. That's
yeah,
not always easy to look for, but when we look for it, it gives us the strength to move through and say, wait a minute, this is changing fundamentally who I am, who we are,
yeah,
and am I willing to receive the blessing that's here?
yeah.
Because there is one. Somewhere there is one.
So if we can only impart that one phrase, am I willing to receive the blessing that is here right now? Well, that will open up a
Yeah.
whole new world for you.
Oh, yeah. That's perfect. There's the moment.
There's
There's
the
the moment.
moment. Exactly. We're in that moment right there in this blessing that we're calling not a blessing. That we're calling whatever it is that it is in reality. In reality, okay, I didn't want this to happen to me today, or I didn't want to experience it. Okay, so what is the blessing of this? First, you take care of the pain, then you see the blessing, because you have that power. You're the blessing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, and that willingness to willingness is such a key word. I think sometimes in our mastery-oriented world, we think, "Oh, I have to have it mastered to be able to do it," or people will say things like, and I'm sure you've heard this, "But I'm not you, Shayna," or "I'm not you, Misa," and it's like, "Oh,
Oh,
come on, nobody's special here. We've all got it."
we
And
all
it's not about whether you have it mastered. That's not what it is.
know.
It's, are you willing to allow yourself to experience something that you've forgotten?
Yeah,
You came on earth with an intention to forget. That's all. It doesn't mean it isn't there. You just forgot.
that's right.
That's the journey,
That's
is
the
to
journey.
remember. Are you willing to remember? Once you're willing, you will experience it.
You will. Yeah.
Today, tomorrow, this moment, a year from now, but you will.
What a blessing that would be too, for everyone around you. And if you and to listen to the people around you. Because I suspect with all the angels here on earth helping us right now to heal, to become one, to yin awaken, that we are actually have the ability to not only connect to it, but that in our small circle of friends, the ones we trust, there will be an angel saying something to you that
Yeah.
you can, if you listen, you'll hear it and it will then spark you. And that's what we're here for. We're here to spark and keep sparking more and more people. And that's why I was guided to do these interviews, so that at least one, if there's one spark that someone gets from it, that they can share with someone else, then we've done our job. But I'm going to continue doing my job because I love it.
There you go. It's true. And I've had those moments where somebody's asked me, and I imagine people have asked you something similar, where I was like, oh my God, but that's such deep, that's heavy work. And it's like, okay, yeah, it
One
is.
way to look at it.
But it's also bliss. It's also bliss when you are so aware that it's all love, longing to remember that it's love.
Yes,
It,
beautiful.
and you remember or you don't remember, but it's love.
Right.
It's all love. And so, yes, there's enough love to hold the hurt parts, the parts that feel broken. And yes, there's enough love to hold the biggest dream beyond refrigerator, but hopefully, but your biggest dream, right?
In this moment, that could be your biggest dream, and I honor that.
Thank you. It's a little bigger than that. I don't know why refrigerator popped in, but it did. Oh.
Well, I mean, sometimes the moment is just that, I need a Band-Aid. I
That's
need a
right.
refrigerator.
It's true. Don't know if I can manifest that whole house right now, but a refrigerator, yeah. Whatever. But that there is that love. There is that conscious love, divine, whatever we want to call it, that is all, that wants the very best for you that you could ever want for yourself and beyond what you've imagined for yourself.
Yeah.
It's the same yin energy. When you bring in a child, you don't hope they have a mediocre life. Oh, go.
I know, right?
Uh-huh.
Right. Yeah. That's beautiful, sweetheart. Oh my God. I know you have to go. So I would love to continue to talk with you. I just know we've done this for hours and hours and hours. And I bless your path, your sacred path, all your stories, everything you do for everyone that comes to you. I'm so, so grateful to have you here today and that we got a chance to share.
Ah.
So I'm going to put this on. I'll let you. Is there anything else that you would like to say before we close?
Just thank you that I so receive your blessing and how much that means. Having spent time and love with you, that is a rich and powerful blessing. So I thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
And just honor you, my dear, with all my heart. I just love you so much. And I'm so excited to be walking on this earth with you at this time.
Yeah,
Woo, we're
yeah.
so lucky.
Feeling is mutual. Thank you, love. We shall talk soon, and this is now going to be a podcast as well as a um, video on YouTube, and people can find you on YouTube. And I will put your website in the description of this so that you'll be able to be found. And you're welcome to use this in any way you like.
Thank you. How perfect. And your viewers should know they can get that holding I was talking about, the meditation. They
Yeah.
can get it for free.
Oh,
So,
good.
yeah, we'll
As
make sure.
well as this video is for free, as
Yay!
well as subscribing to your channel, and my channel is free. So
That's
get the word out, people. We're here for support, and that's why we're here.
awesome. Hmm.